My name is Adeline, and I thought turning 34 would be like any other birthday. Cake, forced smiles, and my mother's passive-aggressive comments about my life choices. But when I found my 8-year-old son crouched in a bathroom corner with blood on his lip and my brother standing over him with that smirk, everything I thought I knew about my family shattered. What happened next exposed secrets that ran so deep, even the FBI couldn't believe how far the darkness went. Some families keep photo albums. Mine kept ledgers of crimes, and every payment had a price none of us saw coming. But before we move back to it, comment down your age and where you are watching from, and if this story resonates with you, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories about deception, betrayal, and finding the strength to reclaim your life. The house thrummed with celebration, every corner alive with the sounds of family. Laughter spilled from the living room where my cousins huddled around old photo albums, their voices rising and falling with each embarrassing teenage memory they unearthed. In the kitchen, the familiar clatter of dishes mixed with my aunt's gossip about whose daughter was dating whom, their words punctuated by the occasional gasp of scandal. The scent of my mother's famous chocolate cake, 3 layers, German chocolate with coconut pecan frosting, drifted through the air, mingling with the sharp notes of wine and the earthier aroma of Uncle Pete's cigarettes sneaking in from the back porch. I stood at the center of it all, 34 candles waiting to be blown out, surrounded by faces I'd known my entire life. Mom had insisted on throwing this party, despite my protests that I was too old for such fuss. Adeline, she'd said with that particular tone that brooked no argument, family celebrates family. That's what we do. And so here I was, wearing the dress she'd picked out, a deep burgundy that she said brought out my eyes, accepting hugs from relatives I saw maybe twice a year, their congratulations mixing with subtle digs about my single motherhood, my career choices, my decision to raise Ethan alone.
Speech.
Speech. My brother Marcus's voice boomed over the chatter. He stood by the fireplace, beer in hand, that familiar smirk playing at his lips. At 37, he still carried himself with the swagger of the high school quarterback he'd once been, though the muscle had long since softened, and the charm had curdled into something meaner. "Come on, Addie," he called out, using the childhood nickname he knew I hated. "Tell us what it feels like to be another year older and still." He paused, his eyes glinting with malice. "Figuring it all out." The room laughed, though some of the chuckles were uncomfortable. I forced a smile, the one I'd perfected over years of family gatherings. "Well, Marcus, I guess we can't all peak in high school." A few genuine laughs this time. Marcus's jaw tightened, but Mom swept in before he could respond. "Enough, both of you. Let's cut the cake." That's when I noticed. The absence hit me like cold water, sudden and clarifying. I scanned the room, counting heads, searching for the one that mattered most. "Where's Ethan?" I asked, my voice cutting through the birthday song that had just begun. Mom waved dismissively, not even pausing in her conducting of the off-key chorus. "Oh, he's probably playing somewhere. You know how boys are." But I didn't know how my boy was. Ethan wasn't the type to wander off during celebrations. At 8 years old, he was still young enough to want to be near me at family gatherings, especially ones where Marcus was present. There was something about my brother that made Ethan go quiet and watchful, the way small animals do when they sense a predator. "Has anyone seen him?" I asked louder, interrupting the song completely now. "Jesus, Adeline, he's fine," Aunt Sarah said, wine glass tilting dangerously. "Let the kid have some independence. He was here for the presents," Cousin Rita offered helpfully. "Saw him by the stairs maybe 20 minutes ago?" 20 minutes. My chest tightened. I pushed through the crowd, ignoring Mom's exasperated call of "Adeline, the candles." The hallway stretched before me, dimmer than the living room, family photos watching from the walls like silent witnesses. I checked the den first, empty except for the teenagers hunched over their phones. The guest bedroom yielded nothing but coats piled on the bed. My childhood room, now Mom's craft space, sat undisturbed. "Ethan?" I called, my voice echoing off the walls. "Ethan, honey?" From behind, I heard footsteps. "Looking for your kid?" Marcus's voice, casual, almost bored. Maybe he finally grew a pair and decided to explore on his own. I whirled on him. What did you do? Me? His hand went to his chest in mock offense. I've been with everyone, as you well know. Not my fault you can't keep track of your own son. But there was something in his eyes, a glimmer of satisfaction that made my skin crawl. I pushed past him, my heart racing now. The upstairs bathroom door was closed, but I'd already checked there. Hadn't I? No. I'd only glanced in the upstairs, the downstairs bathroom, the one at the end of the hall, past the laundry room. The one we rarely used during parties because it was so far from everything else. I nearly ran, my heels clicking against the hardwood, then muffling on the runner carpet. The door was ajar, just barely, a sliver of light escaping into the dim hallway. I pushed it open, and the hinges creaked like an accusation. The sight knocked the breath from my lungs. Ethan was crouched in the corner between the toilet and the wall, his small body folded in on itself like he was trying to disappear. His face, when he looked up at me, was streaked with tears, and his lower lip, God, his lip was swollen and bleeding, a dark red smear across his chin. "Mommy," he whispered, and it broke something in me. But he wasn't alone. Marcus leaned against the sink, examining his knuckles with the detached interest of someone checking their manicure. He didn't even look up when I entered. "Maybe now he'll toughen up," he said, his voice a low murmur meant only for me. "Kid needs to learn that crying doesn't solve anything." The rage came in a wave so powerful it nearly knocked me backward. "What did you do?" My voice was barely human, scraped raw from somewhere primal. Marcus finally looked at me, and his smirk widened. "Just teaching him a lesson. Someone has to, since you clearly won't. Boys don't cry, Adeline. Or didn't anyone teach you that when you decided to raise one alone?" I flew at him, putting myself between him and Ethan, my hands shaking with fury. "You hit him? You hit my son." "Hit is a strong word," Marcus said, straightening up, using his height advantage to loom over me. I corrected him. "There's a difference." Kid was mouthing off, saying he didn't want to arm wrestle. What kind of boy doesn't want to arm wrestle? So I showed him what happens when you act like a little. "Don't you dare," I snarled. "Don't you dare finish that sentence." The bathroom suddenly felt impossibly small, the walls closing in. Behind me, I could hear Ethan's hitched breathing, trying so hard not to cry harder. My baby, trying to be brave even now. "You're pathetic," I told Marcus, my voice steady despite the trembling in my limbs. "A grown man who has to beat up children to feel strong." His face darkened, and he stepped closer. "Careful, Addie. You might not like what happens when you push me." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise." His breath smelled of beer and something sour, like milk left too long in the sun. That boy needs a man's influence, not some soft-handed coddling from a mother who can't even keep a husband. The slap came before I realized I'd moved, my palm connecting with his cheek in a crack that echoed off the bathroom tiles. For a moment, we both stood frozen, equally shocked. Then Marcus laughed, low and ugly. "There she is. There's the family temper. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?" I turned my back on him, dropping to my knees beside Ethan. "Come here, baby," I whispered, opening my arms. He flew into them, his small body shaking against mine. I could feel his tears soaking through my dress, could taste my own rage like copper in my mouth. "We're leaving," I announced, scooping Ethan up. He was getting too big for me to carry easily, but I'd carry him to the ends of the earth if I had to. Marcus stepped aside with exaggerated courtesy. "By all means, run away. It's what you do best." I didn't dignify that with a response. I carried Ethan down the hallway, his face buried in my neck, his arms wrapped so tight around me I could barely breathe. The party sounds grew louder as we approached the living room, and then died entirely as we entered. Every face turned to us. The cake sat untouched, candles melted to nubs, wax pooling on the frosting. Mom's face went from confused to angry in the span of a heartbeat. "Adeline, what on earth?" "We're leaving," I said. "Don't be ridiculous. It's your birthday party. Marcus hit Ethan. The words fell into the silence like stones into water, ripples of shock spreading outward. But Mom's face didn't show surprise. It showed irritation. Oh, for God's sake. Boys will be boys. Marcus was probably just. He split my son's lip, I said, my voice rising. He cornered him in a bathroom and hit him. You're being dramatic, Mom hissed, glancing around at the assembled relatives like she was more concerned about the scene I was making than her grandson's bloody face. Whatever happened, it can't be that serious. You always blow things out of proportion. Look at his face. I turned slightly so the light caught Ethan's swollen lip, the tear tracks still visible on his cheeks. Mom's expression flickered, just for a moment, and then hardened into something I'd seen before but never directed at me with such venom. If you hadn't raised him to be so sensitive, maybe these things wouldn't happen. An ungrateful brat, just like his bastard mother. No wonder he can't handle a little roughhousing. The room gasped collectively. Even the teenagers looked up from their phones. Aunt Sarah's wine glass actually did fall this time, shattering on the hardwood with a crystalline crash that nobody moved to clean up. What did you just call my son? My voice was dangerous now, low and controlled. Mom lifted her chin, defiant. You heard me. You come here, making a scene, ruining everything just like always. Maybe if that boy had a father figure instead of whatever parade of influences you've subjected him to. The only bad influence, I said, shifting Ethan's weight in my arms, is the one I stupidly kept bringing him around. We're done here. I headed for the door, relatives parting like the Red Sea. Some looked sympathetic. Cousin Rita reached out as if to touch my arm, then thought better of it. Others, particularly the older generation, wore expressions of disapproval, whether for me or the situation. I couldn't tell and didn't care. If you leave now, Mom called after me, don't bother coming back. I paused at the threshold, looking back at the room that held so many memories, birthday parties and Christmases, Easter egg hunts and Thanksgiving dinners. All of it tainted now, poisoned by the revelation of what my family really thought of us. I wouldn't dream of it, I said and walked out into the night. The cool air hit us like a blessing. Ethan shivered against me, and I hurried to the car, fumbling with my keys with one hand while supporting him with the other. Once I got him into his booster seat, I saw the full extent of the damage in the car's dome light. His lip was worse than I'd thought, and there were finger marks on his upper arm where someone, Marcus, had grabbed him. I'm sorry, Mommy, Ethan whispered as I buckled him in. I didn't mean to ruin your birthday. Oh, baby, I said, cupping his face gently, careful of his injured lip. You didn't ruin anything. None of this is your fault. Not one single bit. Uncle Marcus said, I was a baby, said I needed to learn to be a man. Uncle Marcus, I said carefully, doesn't know the first thing about being a man. Real men don't hurt children. Real men protect them. As I drove us home, Ethan's quiet sobs filling the car, I realized this wasn't just about a birthday party gone wrong. This wasn't even just about Marcus's cruelty or Mom's enabling. This was about something deeper, something rotten at the core of my family that I'd been trying not to see for years. They'd shown their true colors tonight. The masks had finally slipped, revealing the ugly truth beneath, that they saw my son as less than, saw me as less than, because I dared to raise him alone, because I'd refused to stay with his father, because I'd chosen my own path instead of the one they'd mapped out for me. But there was something else, too. The speed with which Mom had defended Marcus, the lack of surprise on certain faces. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. It was just the first time it had happened to us. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan crouched in that corner, trying to make himself small enough to disappear. I sat on the edge of his bed instead, watching him sleep, cataloging injuries in the soft glow of his nightlight. The split lip was the worst of it, visually, but the bruises were starting to bloom. Purple fingerprints on his arm, a darker shadow along his ribs where I suspected Marcus had grabbed or pushed him before corralling him into that bathroom. At 3 a.m, I took photos. Evidence, though I wasn't sure yet what I'd do with them. The camera flash was harsh in the darkness, turning Ethan's peaceful sleeping face into something stark and vulnerable. He stirred but didn't wake, and I smoothed his hair back, whispering apologies he couldn't hear. By 5, I'd made 17 cups of tea and drunk none of them. They sat in a row on the kitchen counter like soldiers, growing cold while I paced. My phone had been buzzing all night, messages I didn't read, voicemails I didn't play. I knew what they'd say. Variations on a theme. You overreacted. Family is family. Think of your mother. He didn't mean it. Boys need discipline. You're too sensitive. You always were too sensitive. The pounding on the door came at 6:17. I knew because I was staring at the microwave clock, wondering if it was too early to call in sick to work. The knocking was insistent, aggressive, meant to wake the neighbors if not answered immediately. I knew who it was before I opened the door. Mom stood on my doorstep, and for a moment, I didn't recognize her. Her usually perfectly styled hair hung limp around her face. Her makeup from yesterday's party was smeared, mascara tracking down her cheeks in parallel black rivers. She looked older, frilier, like she'd aged a decade overnight. "Adeline," she said, and her voice was hoarse. "Please, we need to talk." "No," I said, starting to close the door. She wedged her foot in the gap, a move so unlike her that I paused in surprise. "Please," she said again, and this time I heard something I'd never heard from my mother before: desperation. "You have to give your brother a way to live. A way forward. Please. A way to live." I opened the door wider, not to let her in but to confront her. "He assaulted my son. Your grandson. And you want me to give him a way to live?" "You don't understand," Mom said, wringing her hands. The gesture was so melodramatic it might have been funny if I wasn't so angry. "There are complications. He's not well." "Not well?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Is that what we're calling it now? He's a grown man who beat up an 8-year-old boy. That's not illness, Mom. That's cruelty." "He needs help," she insisted. "Professional help. But if you make a big deal of this, if you go to the authorities." "Why are they protecting him, Mom?" The small voice came from behind me. Ethan stood in the hallway, his Spider-Man pajamas twisted from sleep, his swollen lip making him lisp slightly. "Why is Grandma protecting Uncle Marcus when he hurt me?" Mom's face crumbled at the sight of him. "Oh, sweetheart. Don't," I said, stepping between them. "You don't get to sweetheart him. Not after what you called him last night." "I was upset," Mom said quickly. "I didn't mean—" "You called my son a bastard," I said, my voice flat. "You meant every word." "Mommy, what's a bastard?" Ethan asked. "It's an ugly word that small-minded people use when they run out of actual arguments," I told him, not taking my eyes off Mom. "Go back to bed, baby. Grandma was just leaving." "But I want to know why."
"Ethan.
Please." He padded back down the hall, but I knew he'd be listening from his room. 8-year-olds were excellent eavesdroppers, especially when the conversation was about them. "You have to understand," Mom said, lowering her voice. "Marcus's problems.
Debts.
The wrong kind of debts to the wrong kind of people. If this gets out, if he loses his job or goes to jail." "That's not my problem," I said. "It will be," she said, and there was something in her tone that chilled me. "These people don't just write off losses, Adeline. They collect. From family if they have to." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm trying to protect you." She was crying now, real tears this time, not the manipulative waterworks she usually employed. "Both of you. All of us. You don't know what you're playing with here." "Then tell me," I said. "Tell me exactly what's going on." But she was already backing away, shaking her head. Just think about it. Please. For Ethan's sake, if not mine." She left, and I stood in the doorway watching her drive away, noting how she checked her mirrors repeatedly, how she took a circuitous route out of my neighborhood. She was scared. Genuinely scared. The phone calls started an hour later. First Uncle Pete. "Adeline's sweetheart, your mother's beside herself. Whatever happened with the boys? Surely we can work it out as a family?" Then Aunt Sarah, presumably sober now. "You always were dramatic, even as a child." Remember when you tried to run away because Marcus broke your dollhouse?
This is just like that.
Cousin Rita, at least, tried to be diplomatic. I'm not saying what Marcus did was right, but maybe there's a middle ground here? Some way to handle this without destroying the family? I stopped answering after the fifth call. But they kept coming, filling my voicemail with variations of the same message. Forgive and forget. Think of the family, don't make waves. Remember what's important. What was important was sitting at my kitchen table, trying to eat cereal with a swollen lip, wincing every time he forgot, and chewed on the injured side. I called in sick to work, but by noon, my manager Sandra was calling. Adeline, I hate to bother you when you're ill, but there's been some concerns raised. Concerns? I knew what was coming. Some calls came in. Anonymous complaints about your stability? Professionalism? Look, I know it's probably nothing, but HR wants to have a meeting when you're back. Anonymous, I repeated. Let me guess, they mentioned family problems? Sandra's silence was confirmation enough. I'll be in tomorrow, I said. And Sandra? They're not anonymous if they're related to me. The whispers had already started by the time I picked Ethan up from school that afternoon. I'd thought about keeping him home, but routine felt important, normal felt necessary, even if nothing about our situation was normal anymore. Mrs. Chen asked if everything was okay at home. Ethan reported as he climbed into the car. And Tommy's mom kept staring at my lip. The school pickup line had been a gauntlet of stares and whispered conversations behind hands. Mom's network was extensive and efficient. By now, half the town probably knew there'd been drama at the Morrison family birthday party. Mom's version of events, no doubt, painted me as the hysteric who ruined a lovely family gathering over a little brotherly roughhousing. That evening, my friend Claire came by with a bottle of wine and a toy for Ethan, a Lego set to keep him busy while we talked. Your mom's been making the rounds, she reported, pouring generous glasses for both of us. Coffee shop, grocery store, even showed up at the library where my book club meets. Her story is that Marcus was trying to teach Ethan self-defense, and you overreacted. Self-defense, I said flatly. Apparently, you've always been jealous of Marcus, and this was your way of getting attention on your birthday. She's really going with that? Claire leaned forward, her expression serious. Adeline, this isn't just family drama anymore. What Marcus did, that's assault. On a minor. You need to document everything. I took pictures, I admitted.
Good.
Save every text, every voicemail. Write down dates and times of conversations. You might need them. For what? For whatever comes next, she said. Because something tells me this isn't over. She was right. That night, after Claire left and Ethan was asleep, I sat at my computer and started typing. Every detail I could remember from the party. Every word Marcus had said. Every person who'd witnessed the aftermath. The way Mom's face had shown no surprise. The fear in her voice this morning. It was nearly midnight when Ethan appeared in my doorway, holding something. I made this at art time, he said, handing me a piece of paper. It was a drawing, done in crayon and marker. A small figure, clearly Ethan, with his distinctive dark hair and blue shirt, crouched in a corner. Looming over him was a larger figure, all sharp angles and red scribbles, with angry eyes and raised fists. Is this what happened? I asked, though I already knew. He nodded, climbing into my lap. Uncle Marcus said I wasn't a real boy because I cried when Dad left. He said real boys don't need their mommies. When did he say this? This was new information. When he pulled me into the bathroom, he said lots of things. Mean things about you too. What kind of things? Ethan pressed his face against my shoulder. Bad words. Words I'm not supposed to know. He said you were why Dad left, and that I'd end up just like you, alone and unwanted. The rage came back, cold this time, crystallizing into something harder than anger. Resolution maybe. Or determination. Listen to me, I said, turning Ethan to face me. Your Uncle Marcus is wrong about everything. You are perfect exactly as you are. Crying doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Needing people doesn't make you less of a boy. It makes you smart enough to know that nobody gets through life alone. and we are not unwanted. We have each other, and that's more than Marcus will ever understand. Are we going to see them again? The family? I thought about lying, about softening it, but Ethan deserved better than pretty falsehoods. I don't know, I said honestly. But I do know that we're not going to see them until they can treat us with respect. And that might be never. Okay, he said, with the simple acceptance children have for hard truths. I didn't like going there anyway. It always smelled like cigarettes and Grandma's mean perfume. Despite everything, I laughed. Yeah, it did, didn't it? As I tucked him back into bed, Ethan asked one more question. Mommy? Are we safe? I wanted to say yes immediately, to offer him that comfort. But Mom's words echoed in my head. These people don't just write off losses. We're going to be, I said instead. I promise you, baby, we're going to be safe. But as I stood in his doorway, watching him settle back into sleep, I realized I had no idea how to keep that promise. Marcus wasn't just a bully anymore. He was something more dangerous. A man with secrets, with debts, with the kind of problems that made my mother show up at dawn, terrified and begging. And we were on the outside now, cut off from the family's protection, whatever that had been worth. We were alone, Ethan and I, against whatever was coming. I looked at the drawing still in my hand. My son, small and frightened, cornered by a monster in the shape of a man. The truth captured in crayon and marker, too honest for adults to acknowledge. This wasn't over. Claire was right. This was just the beginning. And I had no idea how deep this darkness went, or what it would cost us to escape it. But looking at that drawing, at the fear my baby had captured on paper, I knew one thing for certain. I would burn it all down before I let them hurt him again. Every last brick of it, even if it meant losing everything else in the process. The memories came unbidden at 3 a.m, sharp as glass shards. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, Claire's advice echoing in my head, document everything. But as I typed, other incidents surfaced, things I dismissed or explained away over the years. Marcus, 17, twisting our cousin Jeffrey's arm behind his back until the younger boy cried at Thanksgiving. Teaching him wrestling moves, the adults had laughed. Marcus, 22, showing up at Jessica's wedding with a black eye and split knuckles, joking about a bar disagreement. The way Jessica's new husband had kept his distance all night. Marcus, 25, when Aunt Sarah's son dropped out of college suddenly and moved across the country. The family said Kyle needed space to find himself, but Kyle never came back. Never called. His social media went dark. Marcus, 30, when Dad's business partner's son ended up in the hospital with a skateboarding accident. The kid had been asking questions about missing inventory at the hardware store Dad co-owned. After the accident, he stopped asking. My fingers trembled as I typed. How many victims had there been? How many times had the family closed ranks, offered explanations, made problems disappear? I picked up my phone and scrolled through old contacts until I found Jeffrey's number. We hadn't talked in years, but he answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. Adeline? Jesus, what time is it? Jeff, I'm sorry. I need to ask you something about Marcus. Silence. Then, what did he do?
He hurt Ethan.
At my birthday party. Mom's protecting him, and I need to know, did he ever, when you were kids? Yes. The word came out flat, final. Multiple times. Your parents knew. They always knew. Why didn't you ever say anything? A bitter laugh. I did. My mom told your mom. Your mom said I was exaggerating, that boys played rough, that I needed to toughen up. Sound familiar?
It did. God, it did.
There's more, Jeffrey said. But not over the phone. Can you meet me tomorrow? Lunch at the diner on Route 9. The one outside town? Outside town. Where family wouldn't see us talking. I'll be there. The next morning, I dropped Ethan at school, ignoring the stares and whispers that followed us through the parking lot. My son walked with his head high, but his hand gripped mine tighter than usual. Brave face, baby, I whispered. Like a superhero? He asked. Exactly like a superhero. At work, the HR meeting was a masterclass in corporate passive aggression. Sandra sat beside me, steadfast, while HR, a nervous man named Roger, read from his notes. We've received multiple complaints about erratic behavior, emotional instability, and concerns about your ability to maintain professional boundaries. From family members who are not employed here, I pointed out. The complainants wished to remain anonymous. Roger, Sandra interrupted, Adeline is one of our best analysts. She's never had a single performance issue in 7 years. Doesn't that count for something? Roger shifted uncomfortably. Of course. This is just protocol. We need to document the complaints and the meeting. No action is being taken at this time. At this time, I repeated. But the complaints will remain in my file? Protocol, Roger said again, not meeting my eyes. The message was clear. We're watching you now. One wrong step and these anonymous complaints would be all the justification they'd need. I met Jeffrey at the diner as planned. He'd aged poorly, I thought, then realized it wasn't age. It was wariness. He had the look of someone who'd learned to always check exits, always sit with his back to walls. You look like him, he said without preamble. Marcus. Same nose, same stubborn chin. Used to terrify me when we were kids, seeing his features in your face. Thanks for that, I said dryly. But you've got your dad's eyes. He tried to stop it once, you know. Marcus had me cornered in the garage, was hitting me with a wrench, and your dad walked in. I thought I was saved. What happened? Your dad pulled Marcus off me, and for a second, I saw something in his face. Disgust, maybe fear. But then your mom appeared and she started in on your dad. How dare he lay hands on Marcus, how Marcus was just playing, how I was being dramatic. Your dad backed down. He always backed down when it came to her and Marcus. Why? I asked. Why did she always protect him? Jeffrey stirred his coffee, considering. I have a theory. Want to hear it? I nodded. I think Marcus knows something. Has something on her. The protection never felt like normal motherly love. It felt like obligation. Like she didn't have a choice. That night, I went hunting through the attic. I told Ethan I was looking for Christmas decorations, but I was searching for something else. Anything that might explain the hold Marcus had on our family. I found Dad's things in a box marked, hardware store important. Mom must have missed it when she cleared out his belongings after the heart attack 3 years ago. Inside were ledgers, receipts, and at the bottom, a leather-bound journal. Dad's handwriting was precise, orderly. The first entries were mundane, inventory lists, supplier contacts. But as I flipped through, the tone changed. Dates appeared with dollar amounts.
Large dollar amount.
And initials. MLM. Marcus Leon Morrison. October 15th, 2012, $5,000 to MLM. Legal fees December 3rd, 2012, $8,000 to MLM. Medical expenses February 20th, 2013, $15,000 to MLM. Investment opportunity March 10th, 2013, $20,000 to MLM. Urgent, no questions. The amounts escalated over the years. By 2018, Dad was paying out $30,000 at a time. The notations became more cryptic: settlement, damage control, protection. One entry from 2019 stopped me cold. MLM says they'll come for A and the boy if payments stop. Cannot let that happen. Second mortgage approved. A and the boy. Me and Ethan. They'd been threatening us even then, and Dad had kept paying to protect us. The final entry was dated a week before Dad's heart attack. Can't keep this up. The debt is too deep. MLM refuses to get help. Tried to tell A, but C stopped me. If something happens to me, the papers are with Henderson. Henderson, Dad's lawyer. I called Henderson's office first thing the next morning, but his secretary said he was out of town until the following week. I made an appointment, my hand shaking as I wrote it down. That afternoon, Claire helped me research. We went through public records, news archives, anything that might explain what Marcus had gotten into. What we found painted an ugly picture. A string of failed businesses, each one lasting just long enough to rack up debt before folding. Assault charges that were mysteriously dropped. A DUI that disappeared from records. And always, Marcus emerged unscathed while others paid the price. Look at this, Claire said, pointing to a news article from 2018. A warehouse fire destroyed a building owned by one of Marcus's companies. Insurance paid out $500,000. Arson. Suspected but never proven. The investigator on the case retired suddenly, moved to Florida. How much do you want to bet Dad paid for that retirement? My phone buzzed.
Mom.
Don't answer it, Claire advised. But I did. What do you want? You went to see Jeffrey, Mom said without preamble. That was a mistake. How did you never mind? I know about the payments, Mom. Dad's journal. I know Marcus has been bleeding the family dry. Silence. Then, you don't know anything. Then enlighten me. Not over the phone. Tonight. The old park on Riverside. Come alone. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Fine.
Then I'll come to your work tomorrow. We can discuss it in front of all your colleagues. She hung up. Claire grabbed my arm. You're not seriously going to meet her. I have to know, I said. I have to know what hold he has on them. The park was deserted when I arrived, streetlights casting long shadows across empty swings and slides. Mom sat on a bench, looking older than I'd ever seen her. Marcus owes money, she said without preamble. Not to banks. To people who break bones when payments are late. How much? Started at $50,000. Gambling. It's closer to $300,000 now with interest.
Jesus Christ.
Your father paid for years trying to keep them at bay. But it was never enough. Marcus kept gambling, kept borrowing, kept making it worse. So, cut him off. Let him face consequences. Mom laughed, bitter and hollow. You think we haven't tried? The last time we refused to pay, they sent someone to your apartment building. You remember that break-in 3 years ago? The one where nothing was stolen. My blood went cold. That was a message. They know where you live, where Ethan goes to school, your routines, your schedules, everything. Then we go to the police. With what? There's no proof. And Marcus has made sure we're all implicated. The money Dad paid? It went through the family business. If Marcus goes down, he's taking us all with him. Your father's legacy, my reputation, your inheritance, what little is left of it. I don't care about inheritance. You should, Mom said, because without it, you won't be able to afford the security you'll need when these people come collecting. A car drove by slowly, its headlights sweeping across us. Mom tensed until it passed. There's more, she said quietly. Marcus has been skimming from his creditors, telling them he's paid us back when he's kept the money. If they find out, they'll come after us for money we never received. Now you're beginning to understand. But I didn't understand. Not fully. Not until 2 days later. The envelope was slipped under my door sometime between midnight and dawn. Plain white, no postmark, no return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper with typed words. Stop digging or your son will pay. This is your only warning. My hands shook as I called Claire. She came over immediately, still in her pajamas, and we sat at my kitchen table staring at the note. This is evidence, she said. We need to call the police. Mom warned me they have connections. What if? Then we go over local PD. I have a friend, Lisa Chin. She's a PI, used to be state police. Let me call her. Lisa arrived that afternoon, a compact woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She examined the note, took photos, and asked detailed questions about everything that had happened. Your mother's right about one thing, she said finally. These aren't people you want to mess with. But she's wrong about something else. There's always evidence. We just need to find it.
How?
Follow the money. Your brother's been running schemes for years. There's got to be a paper trail. Bank records, business filings, tax documents. I'll start digging, but carefully. These people are watching.
She was right about that.
Over the next few days, I noticed things. The same car parked across from my office building 3 days in a row. A man in a baseball cap who seemed to be everywhere. The grocery store, the gas station, Ethan's school parking lot. We're being watched, I told Lisa during one of our meetings. Good, she said, which wasn't the response I expected. Means we're getting close to something. They're nervous. What she found over the next week was staggering. Marcus had been running money through shell companies for years, each one registered to a different family member, without their knowledge. There was one in my name, established when I was 18. One in Jeffrey's name. Even one in Ethan's name, created just last year. He's been using you all as shields, Lisa explained. If the authorities investigate, it looks like a family operation. Everyone's implicated. Can we prove we didn't know? Maybe. But it would be messy, expensive, and public. Exactly the kind of thing your mother's trying to avoid. The confrontation with Marcus came sooner than expected. I was leaving work late, the parking lot nearly empty, when he materialized from behind a concrete pillar. Hello, Addie. I fumbled for my keys, thumb finding the panic button. Stay away from me.
Relax.
I'm just here to talk. To explain the reality of your situation. I know the reality. You're a parasite who's been bleeding our family dry. His face darkened. Careful. You don't want to make me angry. Or what? You'll hit me like you hit my son. He moved closer, and I smelled whiskey on his breath. That boy needed a lesson.
So, do you apparently?
The only lesson here is that you're a coward who beats children and hides behind mommy's skirts. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. You think you're so smart playing detective. You have no idea what you're dealing with. These people I owe? They don't send warning notes. They send cleaners. Let go of me. Drop this, Adeline. Stop asking questions, stop digging into things that don't concern you, and maybe, I can keep them from coming after you and the brat. His name is Ethan. For now, Marcus said, and the implied threat made my blood freeze. But names can be erased. People can disappear. Accidents happen all the time. I hit the panic button. The car alarm shrieked, lights flashing. Marcus released my wrist and stepped back. This isn't over, he said, walking away. You just made things so much worse. Security arrived moments later, but Marcus was already gone. I filed a report, adding it to the growing pile of documentation Lisa was assembling. That night, Ethan had nightmares. He woke screaming about Uncle Marcus coming to get him. I held him until he calmed, whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep. Maybe we should leave, I told Claire the next day. Just pack up and go. Start over somewhere. And go where? With what money? Besides, running makes you look guilty. And these people, if they're as connected as your mom says, they'll find you. She was right. We were trapped. The escalation came at school. I got the call during a meeting. Ethan had been in an incident. I broke every speed limit getting there. I found him in the principal's office, shirt torn, lip bleeding again. The principal, Mrs. Watson, looked deeply uncomfortable. Some older boys cornered him at recess, she explained. They were saying things, horrible things, about you, about your family. Ethan tried to walk away, but they pushed him down and... Where are these boys? I demanded. Their parents have been called. But Adeline, the things they were saying, they were very specific. Adult things. Things they must have heard at home. What did they say? Mrs. Watson glanced at Ethan, then back at me. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. But Ethan spoke up, his voice small but clear. They said Uncle Marcus told them I was a baby who needed toughening up. They said maybe now I'll learn to be a real boy. Marcus's exact words. He'd been spreading his poison, recruiting proxies to continue his torture. I want those boys suspended, I said. Of course. But Adeline, if there's something going on, some family situation, that's putting Ethan at risk, I'm obligated to report it. The threat was implicit. Get your house in order or child services gets involved. Lisa had news that evening. I've tracked the money. Your brother's been funneling payments through a construction company that's a front for money laundering. The company's registered to Anthony Torino. Who? Someone you don't want to owe money to. He's connected, protected, and very dangerous. But here's the interesting part, your brother's been skimming. The payments your dad made? Marcus reported them as half what they actually were, pocketed the difference. So, he's stealing from criminals who are already extorting him?
Exactly.
And if Torino finds out, Marcus is dead. And possibly anyone he's been using as cover, including you and Ethan.
The family meeting was called for that Sunday.
Mandatory attendance, Mom had said. The whole extended family would be there to resolve this situation. I arrived with Lisa and Claire, ignoring Mom's protests about outsiders. They're my witnesses, I said. The family was arranged like a tribunal. Marcus at the center, Mom at his right hand, various aunts and uncles spread around the living room. I noticed Jeffrey wasn't there. Smart man. We're here to find a solution, Mom began. This family conflict has gone too far. This isn't a conflict, I said. Marcus assaulted my son. He's been threatening us, stalking us, turning other children against Ethan. Prove it, Marcus said, smirking. Lisa opened her briefcase and began laying out documents. Photos of Ethan's injuries. The threatening note. Security footage from my office parking lot showing Marcus grabbing me. School incident reports. And then the financial documents. The room went silent as she explained what she'd found. The money laundering, the shell companies, the theft from Torino. Marcus's smirk faltered. You don't know what you're talking about. Actually, I do, Lisa said. 20 years in financial crimes investigation. I know exactly what I'm looking at. If this is true, Uncle Pete said slowly, we're all in danger. We've been in danger for years, I said. You've just been pretending otherwise. There has to be a way out, Aunt Sarah said. Some arrangement. The only arrangement, I said, is Marcus turns himself in. Cops, FBI, whoever will give him protection in exchange for testimony against Torino. Marcus laughed. You think I'm suicidal? Torino has people inside. I wouldn't last a day. Then run, I said. Disappear. Leave us all alone and never come back. With what money? You've just established that I'm broke. That's not our problem, Claire said. Marcus stood, pacing now. You don't get it. None of you get it. I'm the only thing standing between this family and them. I'm the buffer. Without me, they come for all of you. No, Lisa said. Without you, there's no debt. You incurred it, not them. You think they care about legal technicalities? Marcus was shouting now. These are people who break legs for being late on payments. Then maybe, I said quietly, you should have thought of that before you gambled away money you didn't have. Marcus lunged at me, but Uncle Pete and another cousin held him back. He struggled against them, screaming, If I go down, you all go down with me. Every last one of you. I'll make sure of it. Get him out of here, Mom said quietly. They dragged Marcus out, still shouting threats. Mom looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw her facade completely crack. You've killed us all, she whispered. No, I said. Marcus did that. I'm just refusing to die quietly. That night, we stayed in a hotel. Lisa had insisted, said it wasn't safe at home. Ethan thought it was an adventure, bouncing on the beds, ordering room service. But I sat by the window, watching the parking lot, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It came in the form of a text from an unknown number. Your brother owes us $347,000. Payment in full due in 72 hours. You've been listed as guarantor. We'll be in touch. Attached was a photo of Ethan at school, taken that day. The message was clear. Marcus might have lit the fuse, but we were all going to burn. Lisa looked at the message and immediately made a call.
We need to move faster.
This just became a kidnapping threat. That changes everything. What do you mean? I mean we're going to the FBI. Tonight. This is now federal. As we packed up to leave for the FBI office, Ethan tugged on my sleeve. Mommy, are we in trouble? I knelt down to his level. No, baby. But we're going to make sure the bad people get in trouble. Including Uncle Marcus? Especially Uncle Marcus. He nodded solemnly.
Good.
He's not a very good uncle. The understatement of the century, I thought, as we headed out into the night, toward whatever came next. The web Marcus had woven was tightening around us all. But I was done being prey caught in his trap. It was time to cut ourselves free, no matter how much it hurt. no matter who got caught in the collapse. The FBI field office was a fortress of glass and concrete, fluorescent lights harsh against the darkness outside. Special Agent Diana Reeves didn't look like what I'd expected. Early 40s, laugh lines around her eyes, photos of golden retrievers on her desk. But her gaze was sharp as she reviewed the documents Lisa had compiled. "This is extensive," she said finally. "Your PI did good work. But I need to be clear about something. Once we open this case, there's no going back. Your brother will know, Torino will know, everyone will know you're cooperating." "They already know something's up," Lisa pointed out. "That photo of Ethan was a clear threat. Which is why I'm recommending witness protection, effective immediately." Agent Reeves pulled out forms. "Temporary safe house for you and your son while we build the case." "What about my job? Ethan's school?" "Leave of absence and homeschooling for now." "I know it's not ideal, but that photo changes everything. These people have eyes on your son." I looked at Ethan, asleep in the chair beside me, exhausted from the stress. "Do it." The safe house was a nondescript apartment in a complex 40 minutes from town. 2 bedrooms, basic furniture, windows with reinforced glass. Deputy Marshal James Wright, a soft-spoken man with kind eyes, walked us through the security protocols. No social media, no contact with family, without clearing it through us first. Vary your routines when you do go out. And this, he handed me a panic button, stays with you always. "For how long?" Ethan asked, clutching his backpack. "Until we catch the bad guys," Wright said gently. "You're being very brave, young man." "My mom says I'm a superhero," Ethan replied. "I think she's right." That night, as Ethan slept in his new bedroom, I sat with Lisa and Agent Reeves, planning our next moves. "We need Marcus on tape admitting to the money laundering," Reeves said. "And, ideally, implicating Torino's organization." "He'll never talk to me now," I said. "No, but he might talk to your mother. If she's willing to wear a wire." "She won't. She's too scared." Lisa leaned forward. "What if she doesn't have a choice? What if we make her see that cooperating is the only way to save herself?" The next morning, we put the plan in motion. Agent Reeves brought Mom in for questioning, not arrested but invited, in a way that made refusal impossible. I watched through one-way glass as they laid out the evidence, the shell companies in her name, the money transfers she'd facilitated, her knowledge of the criminal enterprise. Mom aged 10 years in that room. "I was protecting my family," she kept saying, "by enabling your son's criminal activities." Reeves pressed. "By allowing him to assault your grandson?" "I never wanted. I didn't know he'd." "But you knew about the debts, the threats, the money laundering." Finally, Mom broke. "What do you want from me?" "Cooperation. Full cooperation. Including wearing a wire when you talk to Marcus." "He'll kill me." "No," Reeves said firmly. "We won't let that happen. But Torino might, if this continues." It took 3 hours, but Mom finally agreed. The terror in her eyes was real when she looked at me through the glass. I felt no sympathy. She'd chosen Marcus over Ethan. That was unforgivable. While Mom was being prepped, I worked with a financial crimes unit to decode Dad's journal fully. The initials, the dates, the amounts, it all painted a picture of escalating desperation. But one entry stood out. May 15, 2019. MLM claims A is an RM's. Says he has proof. C. Hysterical. A isn't RM's. Adeline isn't Robert Morrison's. My hands shook as I showed it to Lisa. This can't be right. She studied it carefully. It explains the hush stipend entries. Someone was being paid to keep quiet about paternity. But who? And why would Marcus know? "We need to ask your mother." But Mom was already gone, wearing a wire, meeting Marcus at a diner 2 towns over. We listened from a surveillance van. Agent Reeves, Lisa, and I crowded around the monitors. "You look terrible," Marcus's voice crackled through the speakers. "The FBI came to my house," Mom said. "They know everything." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing." "But Marcus, they have documents, financial records. That PI Adeline hired." "That bitch," Marcus snarled. I told you she'd ruin everything. There's something else. They mentioned Torino. They know about him. Silence. Then, we need to run. Both of us. Tonight. With what money? You've spent everything. Gambled everything. Not everything, Marcus said. I kept some reserves. Emergency funds. You told me we were broke. I told you what you needed to hear. Look, there's almost 200 grand in a storage unit.
Cash.
We take it and disappear. That's Torino's money. He'll never find us. New identities, new city. We can start over. What about Adeline? Ethan? Marcus laughed. What about them? Adeline made her choice. And the kid? Well, maybe it's better this way. He's not even really family, anyway. What do you mean? Come on, Mom. You know what I mean. Dad knew too. Why do you think he paid all those years? Not just for my debts, to keep Richardson quiet about his bastard daughter. Richardson. A name I didn't recognize. That's enough, Mom said, voice shaking. Don't talk about that. Why not? It's the truth. Adeline's real daddy was Dad's business partner. You had an affair, got pregnant, and Dad covered it up to save face. But Richardson wanted money to stay quiet, especially after his son figured it out. His son. Yeah, the one who had that accident. He was going to expose everything unless we paid. So we paid. And paid. And paid. You caused that accident? I handled it. Like I handle everything for this family. My God, Marcus. You could have killed him. But I didn't. Just scared him enough to leave town. Problem solved. Agent Reeves whispered into her radio. All units, prepare to move in. But Mom wasn't done. The storage unit, where is it? Highway 9 self-storage. Unit 47. Why? Because I'm going with you. I can't stay here either, not after what Adeline's done. Finally, some sense. Meet me there at midnight. And Mom, don't tell anyone. Not even Aunt Sarah. No one. I won't. The wire went silent. Moments later, Mom exited the diner and got into her car. Marcus left separately, heading in the opposite direction. We got him, Reeves said. Assault, money laundering, extortion, attempted murder. It's all there. But I was reeling from the revelation. Not Robert Morrison's daughter. My whole life a lie. Mom was brought back to the safe house. She couldn't meet my eyes. Is it true? I asked. About my father? She nodded, tears streaming. Tom Richardson. Your dad's partner at the hardware store. We had an affair. Just once, but once was enough. Robert found out when you were 2. Tom wanted to claim you, threatened to destroy our marriage. So Robert paid him to stay quiet. And Marcus found out? When he was 17. He'd been snooping in your father's office, found the payments. He's held it over my head ever since. So, you sacrificed Ethan to keep your secret? I was trying to protect you. If it came out, you'd lose everything. Your inheritance, your place in the family. I don't care about any of that, I shouted. I care about my son. And you let Marcus hurt him to protect a lie. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry, but sorry wasn't enough. Not anymore. The raid on the storage unit was set for 11:45 p.m. FBI, DEA, and local police coordinated to take down Marcus and seize the cash that would prove the money laundering charges. I waited in the safe house with Ethan, watching cartoons while my phone sat silent beside me, waiting for news. At 11:30, it rang. Lisa, there's a problem. Marcus changed the plan. He's already at the storage unit, loading the money. Units are moving in now, but... Gunshots crackled through the phone. My blood froze. Lisa, stay put. Do not leave the safe house. I'll call you back. The next hour was the longest of my life. Ethan fell asleep on the couch, oblivious to the danger. I paced, clutched the panic button, jumped at every sound. Finally, Agent Reeves called. We have him. Marcus is in custody. Was anyone hurt? He fired at agents when they moved in. No one was hit, thankfully. But Adeline, when we searched the unit, we found more than money. Documents, photographs, recordings. Your brother's been building leverage on everyone for years. What kind of leverage? Come to the office tomorrow. You need to see this yourself. The next morning, after dropping Ethan with the Marshal Service's child care, I sat in a conference room surrounded by evidence boxes. Agent Reeves laid out the materials methodically. Your brother was paranoid but smart. He documented everything. She showed me photos first. These are from family gatherings going back 20 years. But look closer. I did. In the background of normal family photos were other things: exchanges of envelopes, meetings with strangers, license plates of cars. Marcus had been documenting the family's secrets for decades. Now these, Reeves continued, pulling out cassette tapes. He recorded conversations, including this one. She played a tape dated 3 years before Dad's death. Dad's voice, tired and defeated. "I can't keep doing this, Marcus." "Sure you can," Marcus replied. "Unless you want everyone to know about Richardson. About Adeline. About what really happened to his son. That was you, not me. But you covered it up. Paid the hospital bills through the company. That makes you accessory after the fact. You're my son. I was protecting you. And I'm protecting us now. Torino's people don't care about our family drama. They want their money. So you'll keep paying, or I'll make sure they know exactly where to find Adeline and her boy." The tape clicked off. I felt sick. "He was using you and Ethan as leverage against your father," Reeves said gently. "And it worked. Dad paid until it killed him." "There's more. This one's from 6 months ago." Mom's voice this time, talking to someone I didn't recognize. "The payments have to stop. Robert's dead. The estate is nearly drained." "Then find another way," the stranger replied. "Your son owes us. Family pays family debts. That's the rule." "What if I could give you something else? Information?" "What kind of information?" "My daughter works at Hartman Analytics. They handle contracts for defense companies. Sensitive information passes through her desk." My blood went cold. She was going to sell my access? "We don't think she followed through," Reeves said quickly. But the intention was there. The revelations kept coming. Marcus had records of everyone's secrets: Uncle Pete's affair, Aunt Sarah's embezzlement from her employer, Cousin Rita's husband's drug dealing. He'd been the family's secret keeper and blackmailer, using their shame to fund his gambling and maintain his power. "We're going to need statements from everyone," Reeves said. "This is bigger than just Marcus now. This is a RICO case." "RICO?" "Racketeering. Your family was functioning as a criminal enterprise, whether they knew it or not." That afternoon, I was allowed a monitored visit with Mom before she was formally charged. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. "I know you hate me," she said. "I don't hate you. I pity you. You are so concerned with appearances, with keeping secrets, that you let Marcus turn our family into a criminal organization. I was trying to protect everyone. No, you were trying to protect yourself. Your reputation. Your standing. You don't understand what it was like," she said. "The shame of the affair, the constant fear of exposure. Marcus held it over me every day. You could have told the truth. And destroyed everything? Everything's destroyed anyway, Mom. But at least if you'd told the truth, Ethan wouldn't have been hurt." She started crying again. "Is he okay? Is he safe?" "No thanks to you, yes. He's safe. And he's going to stay that way." "Can I see him?"
"No."
"Not until you've served whatever sentence they give you. Maybe not even then." "Adeline, please. You chose Marcus over Ethan. Over me. Over everyone. Now live with that choice." I left her there, sobbing. I felt nothing. The DA's office was my next stop. Assistant District Attorney Michael Chun laid out the charges they were filing: conspiracy, money laundering, assault, witness intimidation, attempted murder for the Richardson boys' accident. "With your testimony and the recordings, we have a strong case," he said. "But I need to warn you. The defense will try to paint you as vindictive, out for revenge. Let them try. The evidence speaks for itself." There's another issue. Torino's organization. They're not happy about the FBI involvement. Our informants say they're considering you and your son loose ends. Witness protection? Permanent relocation might be necessary. New identities, new life. I thought about it. Leaving everything behind. Friends, career, the life I'd built. But then I thought about Ethan, about keeping him safe. Whatever it takes, I said. That evening, back at the safe house, I sat with Ethan as he did homework, worksheets the Marshal Service had provided. Mom, are we going to have to move? He asked suddenly. Maybe, baby. Would that be okay? He considered this. Will Uncle Marcus know where we are?
No.
He'll never find us. Then yes. I'd like to move. Somewhere with a beach, maybe? We'll see what we can do. Agent Reeves called with an update. Marcus is trying to make a deal. He wants to testify against Torino in exchange for reduced charges. Will they take it? Probably. Torino's a bigger fish. But it means Marcus might serve as little as 10 years. 10 years, I repeated. Ethan would be 18. With good behavior, maybe 7. It wasn't enough, but it was something. The next day brought another revelation. Tom Richardson, my biological father, wanted to meet. He'd been contacted by the FBI, informed of the situation. You don't have to see him, Lisa advised. But I was curious. This man whose existence had shaped so much of my life without my knowledge. We met in a neutral location, a coffee shop with FBI agents at nearby tables. Tom Richardson was older than I'd expected, late 60s, with eyes exactly like mine. I wanted to tell you, were his first words. So many times. But Robert, your dad, he made it clear what would happen if I did. What would happen? He'd destroy me. Financially, socially. And he had the means to do it. Plus, Marcus, even as a teenager, that boy scared me. But you took money to stay quiet. No, he said firmly. Robert forced money on me, called it severance from the business. I never wanted it. I wanted you. I wanted to be your father. But you weren't. No, he agreed sadly. I wasn't. Robert was. He raised you, loved you in his way. I was just the biological contributor. Your son found out. Tom's face darkened. Danny figured it out when he was looking through old business records. He wanted to confront Robert, demand acknowledgement. I tried to stop him, but he was stubborn. Then the accident happened. Marcus. I knew it was him, but I couldn't prove it. Danny left town as soon as he could walk again. Haven't seen him since.
I'm sorry. So am I.
For all of it. But mostly for you, for what this secret cost you and your son. We talked for an hour. He showed me photos of half-siblings I'd never known I had, told me about his life after leaving the business. It was surreal, this glimpse of a parallel life I might have had. If you ever need anything, he said as we parted, I'm here. I know I haven't earned the right to be your father, but I'd like to be something. I'll think about it, I said and meant it. That night, the news broke. Marcus's arrest, the connection to organized crime, the money laundering, it was all over local news. My phone exploded with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years, all wanting details, gossip, their pound of flesh from the scandal. I turned it off and sat with Ethan, watching a movie about superheroes saving the world. Mom, he said during a quiet moment, are we the good guys or the bad guys? What do you mean? Uncle Marcus is bad, right? But he's family. And Grandma did bad things too. So are we bad because we're related to them? I pulled him close. We are who we choose to be, baby. Not who we're related to. And we choose to be good. To tell the truth. To protect people. To do what's right even when it's hard. That makes us the good guys. Even if other people think we're bad, especially then. Sometimes being good means standing alone. He nodded, satisfied, and turned back to the movie. But his question lingered. In exposing Marcus, I destroyed my family. Mom was facing charges. Various relatives were under investigation. The family name was mud. Were we the good guys? Looking at Ethan, safe and protected for the first time since this all started, I knew the answer. Yes, we were. The morning started like any other in witness protection. Ethan and I had developed a routine. Breakfast at 7, homeschool from 8 to noon lunch. Then Marshall Wright would escort us to a small park where Ethan could run and play while maintaining security. We'd been in the safe house for 3 weeks, and the new normal was starting to feel almost comfortable. That false sense of security shattered at 2:47 p.m. I was in the kitchen when I heard Marshall Wright's voice, sharp and urgent. Code red. Lock down now. Through the window, I saw them. 2 men approaching the playground where Ethan had been on the swings moments before. Wright had already grabbed him, was running toward the safe house. The men gave chase. Mommy. Ethan's scream cut through everything. I ran for the door, but the backup marshal, Davies, held me back. Stay inside. We've got him. Wright burst through the door with Ethan in his arms, slamming it behind him. They made us. Don't know how, but they found us. Davies was already on his radio. Emergency evac needed. Location compromised. 2 suspects in pursuit. The next minutes were chaos. We were bundled into an armored SUV, speeding through back roads while Wright coordinated with local law enforcement. Ethan clung to me, shaking. Were those bad men? He whispered. Yes, baby. But the marshals kept you safe. Are they Uncle Marcus's friends? Something like that. The new safe house was 2 states away, a farm property with sightlines for miles. But I knew we couldn't keep running forever. That night, after Ethan was asleep, I called Agent Reeves. How did they find us? We're investigating. But Adeline, this changes things. The attempted kidnapping makes this a federal crime. Torino's organization just made a massive mistake. I want to talk to my mother. That's not advisable. She knows something. She has to. Someone leaked our location. The next morning, Mom was brought to a secure facility for our meeting. She looked haggard, aged beyond her years. Orange didn't suit her. They tried to take Ethan, I said without preamble. Her face went white.
No.
I didn't. I swear I didn't tell anyone. But you know something. She was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, Marcus had insurance. He told me once that if anything happened to him, if he was arrested, there were procedures in place. What kind of procedures? People who would be notified. Actions that would be taken. He said it was his dead man switch. And you didn't think to mention this? I thought it was just Marcus being dramatic. He was always making threats, spinning stories. Where would he keep this information? Mom shook her head. I don't know. But there was something he said. About how the truth would come out if he went down. The whole truth. What truth? We already know about Richardson, about the money. No, Mom interrupted. There's more. Something about the night of the accident. What accident? Your father's heart attack. It wasn't. Marcus was there. My blood went cold. Are you saying Marcus killed Dad? I don't know. But he said things, implied things. Said Dad was going to confess everything to the FBI, that he'd stopped him. And you kept this quiet? I had no proof. And I was terrified. Of Marcus, of Torino's people, of losing everything. I stood to leave. You're pathetic. Wait. Mom grabbed my arm. There's one more thing. Marcus mentioned a safety deposit box. Said it had his real insurance. Bank of Bedford, under a false name. What name? Leon Mitchell. His middle name and my maiden name. I relayed this information to Agent Reeves, who got a warrant immediately. What they found in that box changed everything. The first item was a recording device with a single file dated the night of Dad's death. Dad's voice panicked. Marcus, what are you doing here? You called the FBI, Marcus's voice replied. I saw the number on your phone. I can't do this anymore. The payments, the lies, it's killing me.
No, Dad.
You're killing you. All that stress, that guilt, bad for the heart. Marcus, I need my pills. The ones in your pocket? The ones I removed an hour ago? Please. You are going to destroy everything. Our family, our reputation. For what? A clean conscience. The sound of Dad gasping, struggling. Then Marcus again. It's better this way. Mom will be easier to manage. And Adeline, well, she'll never know what hit her. The recording ended with the sound of Dad's body hitting the floor. I vomited in Reeves' trash can.
But there was more in the box.
Financial records showing Marcus had been stealing from Torino for years, not just skimming but actively redirecting shipments, selling them to competitors. Photos of Marcus meeting with rivals of Torino's organization. He hadn't just been in debt, he'd been playing all sides, thinking he was smart enough to get away with it. This is why they want Ethan, Reeves said grimly. Leverage to get Marcus to return what he stole. But we don't have it. They don't know that. Or don't care. The final item was a letter, addressed to me. *Addy, if you're reading this, I'm probably dead or in jail. Either way, you win. Congratulations. You always were Dad's favorite, even after he found out you weren't his. Did you know he was going to change his will? Leave everything to you and cut me out? His real son, abandoned for his wife's bastard. But here's the thing, I've made sure that if I go down, you go down too. Every payment Dad made, they went through accounts in your name. Every shell company. You're listed as an officer. The Richardson boys' accident? There's evidence pointing to you as the one who arranged it. It's all fabricated, of course. But good luck proving that when I'm not around to confess. Enjoy prison, sis. Maybe they'll put you in the cell next to Mom. Your loving brother, Marcus *. He's framing me, I said numbly. Trying to, Reeves corrected. But this recording of your father's murder changes everything. This is first-degree homicide. No plea deal can save him from this. That afternoon, chaos erupted. The news of Dad's murder leaked. We never found out how. And within hours it was everywhere. Local businessman's death ruled homicide, son arrested. My phone, which I'd kept off for weeks, had hundreds of messages when I turned it on. Most were from reporters, but one stood out. Tom Richardson. Adeline, I heard about the attempt on Ethan. I have resources, private security. Please let me help. I called him back. I failed you once, he said. Let me help protect my grandson. He's not, you're not. Biology doesn't matter. That boy is family. My men can supplement the Marshal Service. I looked at Ethan, playing with his Legos under the watchful eye of Marshal Wright. Okay. Tom's security team arrived that evening. Former military, all of them, with eyes that missed nothing. Their presence was reassuring in a way the marshals, bound by regulations and bureaucracy, couldn't be. That night, Mom called from jail. I almost didn't answer. Adeline, she said, voice broken, I remember where Marcus hid the stolen goods. What? From Torino. The shipments he redirected. They're in a warehouse. Dad's old furniture storage place. Unit 19. Why are you telling me this? Because they're going to kill my grandson if they don't get it back. And whatever I've done, whatever mistakes I've made, I don't want that baby hurt anymore. I passed the information to Reeves, who coordinated with DEA and ATF. The raid on the warehouse recovered nearly $3 million in stolen drugs and weapons. Torino's organization was crippled by the loss and the subsequent arrests. But it wasn't over. Marcus, facing life without parole for Dad's murder, made one last play. He agreed to testify, but not against Torino, against Mom and me.
Claimed we were the masterminds, that he was just the fall guy.
The DA, Michael Chun, showed me Marcus's statement. It was compelling fiction, weaving truth with lies so skillfully that even I almost believed it. He's desperate, Chun said. This is his Hail Mary. But juries can be unpredictable. So what do? We bury him with evidence. And we need you to testify. The trial was set for 3 months out. 3 months of hiding, of looking over our shoulders, of Ethan asking when we could go home. We can't go back to the old home, I told him one night. Because of Uncle Marcus? Because sometimes, to be safe, we have to start fresh. Like witness protection? Something like that. Will I have to change my name? I thought about it. Would you want to? He considered. Can I pick it? Within reason. I want to be Ethan Strong. Because we're strong, right, Mommy? The strongest, I agreed, holding him close. 2 weeks before the trial, Tom Richardson visited with news. Danny wants to testify, he said. My son. He's willing to confirm Marcus caused his accident. Where is he? Canada. Has been for years. But he'll come back for this.
Why?
Because he heard about what Marcus did to Ethan. Said no kid should go through what he did. The pieces were falling into place. But Marcus had one more card to play. The courtroom was packed the first day of trial. Media, family members I hadn't seen in years, curious strangers drawn by the sensational nature of the case. Marcus sat at the defense table, wearing a suit that couldn't hide the prison weight loss, the hollow eyes of a man who'd lost everything. He smiled when he saw me. That same smirk from the birthday party, diminished but not dead. Prosecutor Chen opened with the recording of Dad's murder. The courtroom sat in stunned silence as Dad's dying gasps filled the space. Several jurors wiped away tears. Marcus's lawyer objected repeatedly, but the judge allowed it. This recording, Chen said, captured by the defendant's own device, proves premeditated murder. But that's just the beginning of Marcus Morrison's crimes. Over the next days, the evidence mounted. Financial records, witness testimony, the recorded confession to Mom. Danny Richardson flew in from Vancouver, walking with a limp Marcus had caused, and testified about the assault and Marcus's threats to kill him if he revealed the family secrets. But the most powerful testimony came from an unexpected source. The prosecution calls Ethan Morrison. I stood to object. We hadn't agreed to this, but my lawyer pulled me down. Trust the process, she whispered. Ethan walked to the stand, so small in his dress shirt and tie. The judge leaned down kindly. Do you understand what it means to tell the truth? Yes, sir. It means not lying, even when the truth is scary. That's right.
Can you do that?
Yes, sir. Chun approached gently. Ethan, can you tell us what happened at your mom's birthday party? Ethan's voice was clear, stronger than I'd expected. Uncle Marcus asked me to arm wrestle. I said no because he always hurts me when we play games. He got mad and dragged me to the bathroom. What happened in the bathroom? He hit me. Here. Ethan pointed to his lip. And he said mean things about my mom and me. Said I wasn't a real boy because I cried. Were you scared?
Yes.
But also mad. Because my mom says real boys protect people who can't protect themselves. And Uncle Marcus only hurts people smaller than him. Objection. Marcus's lawyer called. Speculation. Sustained. But the damage was done. The jury looked at Marcus with disgust. On cross-examination, the defense attorney tried to paint Ethan as coached, confused. But Ethan held firm. Did your mom tell you what to say today? She told me to tell the truth. Did she practice with you?
No.
She said the truth doesn't need practice. When Ethan stepped down, he walked past Marcus's table. Marcus reached out as if to grab him, and Ethan flinched. The jury saw it all. I testified next for hours. Every detail, every threat, every revelation. Marcus's attorney tried to tear me apart, suggesting I was mentally unstable, vindictive, a woman scorned by her family. Isn't it true you were always jealous of Marcus?
No.
But he was the legitimate child and you were. Objection.
Chun stood.
Relevance. Sustained. Isn't it true you've fabricated evidence to frame your brother?
No.
Everything I've presented is real, most of it created by Marcus himself. You expect us to believe that your brother, a respected businessman, murdered your father and traumatized your son? I looked directly at the jury. I expect you to believe the evidence. The recordings, the financial documents, the witnesses. Marcus isn't a businessman. He's a parasite who fed off our family until there was nothing left. Mom testified on day 4, broken and resigned. She confirmed everything, the payments, the threats, the cover-ups. She looked at Marcus once, tears streaming. I failed both my children, she said. But I failed Adeline most by choosing Marcus over her and Ethan. That's a mistake I'll regret forever. Marcus's defense was creative. He claimed mental illness, manipulation by Torino, a dysfunctional family dynamic that made him a victim too. He took the stand against his lawyer's advice. arrogant to the end. My father was abusive, he lied smoothly. My mother neglectful. I was forced into crime to survive, to protect the family business. But Chun was ready. Mr. Morrison, is this your voice on the recording? He played Marcus laughing about making Dad's death look like a heart attack. That was taken out of context. Context? Your father is gasping for air, begging for his medication, and you're laughing. What context makes that acceptable? Marcus's composure cracked. He was going to destroy everything. My inheritance, my future. So you killed him? He was weak, pathetic, going to confess to crimes that would destroy us all for what? Because he felt guilty? He deserved. Marcus stopped, realizing what he'd said. The courtroom was silent. No further questions, Chin said. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder in the first degree. Life without parole. As they led Marcus away, he turned to me. This isn't over. Yes, I said firmly. It is. Mom was sentenced to 3 years with possibility of parole in 18 months, mostly for the financial crimes and failing to report Marcus's confession about Dad. It was lenient considering. I don't expect forgiveness, she said at her sentencing. But I hope someday my grandson might understand I was trapped by my own cowardice. The aftermath was complex. The family estate, what was left of it, was tied up in legal proceedings. Most would go to restitution for Torino's victims and Dad's actual business partners who'd been defrauded. But Tom Richardson stepped up, setting up a trust for Ethan's education and our relocation expenses. It's the least I can do, he said. For the daughter I never got to raise and the grandson I want to know. We relocated to Oregon, a small coastal town where nobody knew our names. Ethan became Ethan Strong legally. My last name changed too, shedding Morrison like the poison it had become. Tom helped us buy a small house near the beach, just like Ethan had wanted. Marshall Wright checked in monthly at first, then occasionally. Torino's organization, decimated by the raids and arrests, was no longer a threat. Other families had moved in on their territory within weeks. Claire visited after we'd settled in. You look good, she said. Peace suits you. It feels strange, I admitted, not looking over my shoulder. And Ethan? He has nightmares sometimes. But his therapist says he's remarkably resilient. Like his mom. 6 months after the trial, we held a new birthday party. My 35th, though it felt like I'd aged decades since the last one. Just a few people. Claire, Tom and his wife, Danny Richardson, who'd become an unexpected friend, and Mrs. Chun from next door who'd adopted us as family. Ethan made the cake himself, lopsided and overfrosted, perfect in its imperfection. Make a wish, Mom, he said, bouncing with excitement. I looked around the small gathering, at these people who'd chosen to be our family, who'd stood by us through hell. I looked at my son, smiling and innocent despite everything he'd endured. I don't need to, I said. I have everything I want. You still have to wish. Ethan insisted. It's the rules. So I closed my eyes and wished for continued peace, for Ethan's nightmares to fade, for the strength to build this new life we'd fought so hard to earn. The candles flickered out and everyone cheered. No one mentioned that it was exactly 1 year since the birthday that changed everything. No one needed to. That night, after everyone had gone home and Ethan was asleep, I stood on our small deck watching the ocean. The waves crashed endlessly, powerful and indifferent, washing everything clean. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. For a moment, my heart raced. Then I read it. Miss Strong, this is Warden Davies at Bedford Maximum Security. I am writing to inform you that Marcus Morrison was placed in solitary confinement after an altercation with other inmates. He will have no contact with the outside world for the foreseeable future. You and your son are safe. I deleted the message and blocked the number. Marcus was the past. We were the future. Inside, I checked on Ethan one more time. He slept peacefully, his Captain America nightlight casting soft shadows on the wall. On his dresser sat a photo. Not of the family we'd lost, but of the one we'd chosen. The people who'd earned their place in our lives through love, not blood. I thought about the letter I'd written for the court, my victim impact statement that had been read at Marcus's sentencing. Truth is our inheritance. Not money, not reputation, not family names or obligations.
Truth.
My son will grow up knowing that standing up to bullies, even when they're family, especially when they're family, is the right thing to do. He'll know that love isn't about blood, it's about choice. And we choose to leave the poison behind and grow something new, something honest, something real. Tomorrow, Ethan would start at his new school, with his new name, in our new life. He was nervous but excited. "Do you think they'll like me?" he'd asked. "They'll love you," I'd promised. "Because you're kind and brave and honest. That's all that matters." The sound of the ocean filled the night, constant and reassuring. Somewhere in a maximum security prison, Marcus sat alone with his rage and his emptiness. Mom was serving her time, maybe learning something about consequences. The family that had enabled and protected Marcus for so long was scattered, their reputation destroyed, their secrets exposed. But here, in this small house by the sea, a mother and son were writing a new story. One birthday at a time, one truth at a time, one choice at a time. We were free, and that was the greatest gift of all. If you had to choose between protecting your child and destroying your entire family, knowing that the truth might put everyone you love in danger, would you still speak up? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the choices that define us when family becomes the enemy.